Hello everyone. Okay, okay, we have people now. So myself, Abdul Azim, and I'm an iOS developer, senior iOS developer at Geeks4Geeks, and this is session number 4 of our series iOS development for beginners. So this session is mainly focused upon control flow in Swift language, in Swift programming language. Control flow means if else statement and loops like for in loops, while loop, repeat while loop. So we will be discussing all that in this session. And but before all of that, let's go through a short recap what we have done so far, what we have discussed so far. So with the start of this series, we have talked about the introduction of iOS development. हमने iOS development के intro के ऊपर बात की थी and what is the scope in the domain, what are the technical requirements to learn iOS development or to dive into the iOS development. And then we have talked about basics of Swift, and then we have talked about first the Swift language, background of the Swift language, और द बैकग्राउंड ऑफ द iOS डेवलपमेंट के स्विफ्ट से पहले iOS डेवलपमेंट किस लैंग्वेज में हम करते थे, ऑब्जेक्टिव सी में होता था, या स्विफ्ट मेनली किन लैंग्वेजेस के आर्किटेक्चर पर डिपेंड करता है या किन पेरेंट लैंग्वेजेस के आर्किटेक्चर को फॉलो करता है. लाइक वी हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट दिस, स्विफ्ट फॉलोज ऑब्जेक्टिव सी एंड सी प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज. There are many similar concepts in Swift and C and Objective C, like the pointers and all, pointers, structures and all. And we also talk, there were second session mainly depended upon how to set up Xcode and how to create basic apps, or like what are the feasibilities, or what are the functions in Xcode. And then we have created an hello world app just to go through Xcode, how Xcode works, how basic functions in Xcode works. And in our last session we have talked about operators. And going on, in this session we will be discussing control flow, like if else, switch statements and loops. And after that we'll be diving more into Swift concepts like optionals, functions, classes, concepts, etc. And in our future sessions we'll be talking about interface builders and storyboard, how to create UI and UI components, storyboards in Xcode, and how to deal with view controllers, what are view controllers, and how to deal with navigation, how navigation flow works in an iOS application, and what is data persistence, and how you persist data in your app, means how you save data in your local storage, like by using user defaults, core data, and DLM. We'll be talking about user data and user defaults and core data in detail. Okay, and after that, of course, we will be talking about how you build a list or grids in your app, like table views and collection views. And later on in sessions, we will be discussing how you make HTTP request with URL session and Alarmify. That means how you fetch or post data to the server, how you get data from the server, how you call APIs to get data from the server, or how you make API calls to post something, to save something, or to change something, delete something onto the server, onto your database, not your local database, your server database. And of course, we will be talking about, or we will be learning how to pass the data that we are getting from the server into our local models. And then, of course, at last, we will be discussing how to prepare your app to send to App Store, release, and review. That is the first you build your app, so that is the most important part, कि आपको ये पता हो कि after creating your app के आपको App Store पर अपनी app कैसे भेजनी है, how you will get your app reviewed and how you will get your app released on the App Store. So these will be the things that we'll be discussing throughout the series. And before going forward, let me tell you कि हमने अपने लास्ट सेशन में क्या क्या कवर किया है. We last session was mainly focused upon basic operators in Swift. So we have discussed about assignment operator, and then we have discussed about arithmetic operators. We have learned about remainder operator. We have talked about unary and compound assignment operators. We have talked about comparison operators, ternary operators, and all. So of course we will be starting control flow in this session, but before going to the control flow, we will start where we left off in our last session, like operators. Because अभी दो operators जो आगे यूज होंगे हमारे थ्रू आउट द सीरीज, वो अभी हमारे बचे हैं जो हम इस सेशन में डिस्कस कर रहे होंगे, लाइक रेंज ऑपरेटर एंड लॉजिकल ऑपरेटर. सो आज हम स्टार्ट करेंगे रेंज ऑपरेटर से. व्हाट आर रेंज ऑपरेटर? सो लेट मी फर्स्ट शेयर माय स्क्रीन. ओके. And before going forward, I will you know okay, before going forward, I want to tell you that with this series you can also take this free course from Geeks for Geeks to learn iOS development, to start your iOS development journey. So this is a free course, so you can go to the link that I'm sending into the chat or comment box. You can go to the link and register to this course with free of cost, with no cost. Okay, now so let me present my playground. Okay. Okay, so we will start with range operator. What is range operator in Swift? Basically, range operator is नाम से समझ आ रहा है, when we want to deal in a range between numbers, like let's say if I want to talk about between 1 to 5, I want to add up all the numbers that comes from 1 to 5, let's say 1 2 3 4 5. I want to calculate the sum of numbers starting from 1 and ending to 5, 1 2 3 4 5. So what you will there are ways to run loops. So range is one operator or one thing with the help of which you can run your loops in any range. Doesn't matter आपकी रेंज कितनी बड़ी हो, आप कितनी बड़ी रेंज के थ्रू अपना लूप रन करना चाहते हो. सो फॉर एग्जांपल लेट्स से I want to add numbers from 1 to, let's say, 10, and I want 1 and 10 included. So how you can do this? Actually, for number in 1 3 dots 10. So what it will do? It will start from 1 and it will end on 10. So let's say I want to calculate the sum. So let's say var sum equals to 0. So sum, this is an assignment operator. We have talked about this in our last session. So sum equals to sum plus number. So what it will do sum equals to sum plus 1, and then sum equals to 1, and then sum equals to sum plus 2, sum equals to sum plus 3. It will add each number one by one up to 10. So if I print sum now, sum, this is a string interpolation. We have also talked about this in our last sessions. So now if I print this, it's running, and you will see 55. So it is like, if I comment this, it is like this: 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10. So this is exactly the same that we are running loop from 1 to 10. It is adding numbers one by one from 1 to 10. So if I'm commenting my loop, and if I run this, so it will give me the sum of these numbers, that is 55. So this is how range works. But this is this triple dot operator is something that is called close range operator, right? It is counting both 1 and 5, 1 and 10. So there is another thing that is called half open range. That is, let's say if I do this, two dots and one one lesser sign. So what it will do, it will count from 1 to 10, but it will not consider 10. It will only count from 1 to 9. It will not consider the upper range. So if I you know so let me put a comment here. It is half open range, half open range. Okay, so if I print this, it should print 45. Yes, it is printing 45. This is half open range. And there is another operator, range operator, that is called one-sided range. So what is one-sided range? Let me show you. Let's say let's say I have an array. Let's say let names. I have names of people. Let's say one is, stock. Another one is Steve. Another one is Natasha. And then Paul and Banner. Let's say Clint. So what is one-sided range operator? It is, let me put a comment here. It is one-sided operator. One-sided operator is where you will be putting your boundary only on one side of the range and not the other side of the range. The other side will be starting from the zero, or the another one range should be ending to the end limit. Let's say if I put this 4, if I run a loop, 4 name for name in names, and I put it one-sided range. Let's say this. So what it will do, it will count from 0th index to, it will run from 0th index to the second index of this array of, so let's say if I print now name. So let's just run it and see what is coming. So you'll see Stark, Steve, and Natasha. So it is counting from 0th index and ending at 0, 1, 2, the index number 2. So let's say if I put this, that is half open range. So it will not consider this index number 2. So if I print this now, it will print Stark and Steve. And let's say if we do the otherwise, let's say we start from 2 and we put it the open range at the other side, at the end, at the upper bound. So what it will do, it will start from index number 2 and end at the last index of this array. So let's say if I print this, it will start from Natasha, Thor, Banner, and will end at Clint. Okay, so that is how your range, half open range, one sided range works in Swift. So it will you will have to work a lot on ranges when you will be running some loops in your applications. So yes, it is of some use. So now if we move forward to our next thing, that is logical operators. So what are logical operators? Logical operators are basically, about logical operations. So these are, and operator, or operator, not operator. So these are some things that we'll be learning in logical operators, or we'll be talking about in logical operators. So let's first talk about not operator. What is not operator? So let's say if you have a boolean value, let is boolean. Let's say if it is let's say false. So want to check what I want to do. Let's say if you want to put a check on a boolean value for false. So what you'll do something like this: is boolean, you know, is boolean equals to false, and you will be doing something. Let's say printing is not a boolean value. Print is not a boolean value, right? It's not a boolean value. So first, if we learn about not operator, what is a not operator actually? It just replaced your comparison to any false value. If you have a singular value, let's say, or if you have any value and you want to check, you want to run some execution if that condition is false. So rather than comparing it to false, you can simply just put it like it, like let's say if not is boolean. So if is boolean is false, then this will run this situation. So this is something that is called not operator. So it will execute this block when the is boolean value will be false. So it's not a boolean value. You see, this is not operator in Swift. So now if we talk about or operator, so let's say one thing is you have is boolean, and let's say another thing is logical. Let's say it is true. So we use or operator where we want to run some condition or combine some conditions, and we want to execute something if any of those condition is true. So let's say if I want to check कि अगर इस boolean या इस logical में से कोई भी एक value true होती है, तो that means I will understand that uh, I will say I will print something. Let's say I will print this is one of those, or let's say something like this. If is boolean or or is logical. Second, it's a conditional, it's a, or let's say it's a logically true condition. See, so what OR will do, this there is two conditions, is Boolean and another one is logical. This is checking for two flags. So what OR will do, OR operation will check if any of those is true, or if both are true. So it will run this execution. If both of them are false, so it will it will not run this execution. It will not execute this block, is this print statement. So in our case, is Boolean is false, but is logical is true. So it should print this value, right? So it is printing this value. It's a logically true condition. So let's say, if what I do, if I reverse the situation, if I say is logical is false and is Boolean is true, so it will still print this. It will still execute this print statement, because or condition is still getting a true value, because one value is still true, another one is false. So this is what or operation will do. It will check if both or any one of those values is true. So here, is Boolean is true, is logical is false. So it will pass this block, it will pass this condition to true, and it will execute this print statement. So if we run this now, it will say it's a logically true condition. Okay. Now let's say, if we set true to both situation, both flags. So what it will do, it will still print this statement, will pass this condition and say yes, true. And let's say if I set false to both of the flags, let's say this, what it will do, now it will not run anything, it will not print anything, because now this or operation is returning false, because both of the flags is false. So it is false, or false always give you a false condition. So it is not passing this condition to true statement, because both of the values are false. So this is how our statement works in Swift. So now let's jump to our next conditional operator, that is AND. So we will still work on the same flags, is Boolean and illogical. So let's say, now what I will do, if is Boolean and this is AND operator, double and is logical, and if I print this AND operation is true, right? So what it will do, what AND operator is do, actually it will it will check if both or all of the condition that we are comparing, combining into an AND operation, or we are performing AND operation uh, to some logical Boolean values. So it will check if all the Boolean conditions are returning true. If, let's say, in this situation we are performing AND operation on two values, so it will check if both of them is returning true or not. If both of them is not returning, if any of them is returning false, so it will not pass the statement. It will it will be returning false for the whole AND operation. So let's say, if I let's say, is Boolean is true and is logical is also true. So what it will do, if I run this, it will say this AND operation is true, because both is Boolean and is logical containing true. If I say any of these values false, so it will not pass this value. It will not say this AND operation is true, because it is not, this AND operation is not returning true. So it is not executing this print statement. It is not falling into this if block. Okay. So this is how AND operation works into Swift programming language. So okay, this is all about operators. We have combined two session. First, in first session, we have talked about arithmetic operator, assignment operator, ternary operator, conditional operators, and all. And in this session, we have talked about range operator, one-sided range, once and the half open range or the full range, and logical operators. So this is where we can wind up operators. We will get used to these operators or these things when we will be, using all of these in our further sessions or our further studies. So now let's jump to our topic of this session: control flow, like loops and conditional statements like if else if switch statement. How this works. Okay, so let's first start with foreign loop. uh, Basically, we use foreign loops to iterate over some sequence. When we have some sequence given, so foreign loops means for and in. That means we are running for loop in any given sequence. So let's say if I give you an example, uh, let's say let's take the previous example. This is names. So let's say we have an array of names, and what I want to do, I want to run a for loop through all the names of this array. Like for example, we have done here. Uh, we were at line number 12. We were running for in loop on the names with applying with some range operators. But let's skip the range here, and I want to execute or iterate over each element of this array. So let's say for name in names. So what we are doing, we are actually running for in loop through out or iterating. We are iterating over this array. It will run through each name of this names array or each value of this names array. So if I print, let's say, name, what it will do, it will print all the names of this array. Sorry. Yes. There is some array. Okay, sorry. Let me comment it because we have commented it out from the above side. So see, it is printing, all the names in the array: Stark, Steve, Natasha, Thor, Banner, Clint, because we are running a foreign loop on this array. We are iterating over each element of the array in order. So this is how foreign loop works in, Swift language, where we want to run through a sequence. Like we can write it here: foreign loop use where we want to run through or iterate over a sequence. This is where your foreign loops comes into the play. Now second thing that second loop is while loop into Swift, like any other language. uh, how while loop works actually, what is the difference between for loop and while loop? You run while loop where you don't know exact number of iteration that you're going to do. So let's say if I have a number, let's say where num equals to, let's say, 2, and I want to you know double this number every time until it crosses a limit, and let's say this limit is limit, let's say let limit equals to, let's say, 20. So how while loop will work: while number less than 20, number will be doubled. So what this means, it is an assignment operator, like we have discussed it in our last session. So num equals to num into 2. This is what it means. It is an assignment operator, which is signifying this statement: num equals to num into 2. So what it is doing, it is it is doubling our number and checking if number is lesser than 20 or not. So if it is lesser than 20, it will double it every time. So let's just print it, print num, and execute it. Let's see what comes. See, for first, we had number equals to 2, and what we have done, 2 was less than 20. So what we had done, we multiplied our number by 2. That is means 2 into 2, 4. So it is printing 4. Now it is checking 4 is lesser than 20, and then it is doubling it. That is 8, and it is printing 8. And then it is checking 8 is lesser than 20. Then it is doubling 8 to 16, and it is 16. And then it is checking 16 is lesser than 20, and then it is doubling 16 to 32, and it is printing 32. And then when it's check if 32 is lesser than 20 or not, so it is returning false. That means it is not executing any further. The loop just breaks out. Okay, so this is how while work in, you know uh, this is how while work in Swift programming language. So there is another one, that is repeat while loop. So the main difference between while and the for loop is, in the while loop, you run while loop where you don't know how many number of iteration you're gonna play with. How what is the exact number that you have to, exact number of operation that you have to perform. If you have to perform through such or iterate through such condition, then you use while loop. If you know the exact number of iteration, then you use for loop. So what repeat while loop do is, it is exactly like the while loop. The difference is, it is just perform a single pass through the loop block first before considering the loop's condition. Means what is happening in the while loop, first it is checking the condition if it is lesser than 20 or not, and then it is performing the first block. But in the repeat while loop, in the first block, it will not checking the condition. First it will run a block, and at the last of the block, it is checking the condition. It will check the condition. So for example, if I write a generic expression for while loop, that will be while some condition, and in the block, execution or statement. If the you know if the condition is true, it will run the statement. Okay, this is while, a generic while statement. But let's say if I write it for repeat while. So how repeat while works, this is the generic form for, you know it will be like repeat and while. what it will do, it will first run the block and then check the condition it is doing the otherwise. So let's say if we run the same loop in the repeat while control flow. So repeat and while. So when it will get the value of the number equals to 2, first it will not check if it is 2 lesser than 20 or not. It will actually execute the block and then check if it will then check if it is lesser than 20 or not. So if I print it, just a second. Okay, definitely. Just give me a second. Okay, it's actually caught into an infinite loop. Let me close this and open it again. See, okay. So let's say if I do this, if my number is let's say 24, so it is actually greater than, not lesser than 20. It is greater than 20, but it is not checking any condition before before running through the, if it is not checking if it is lesser than 20 or not before running the block. First it will run the block, then it is checking the condition. So if my number is 24, what it will do, it will double its 24 without checking if it is lesser than 20 or not. So it will run first block without checking anything, because once because जब तक ये कंडीशन तक पहुंचता है तब तक पहला लूप, ये पहला ब्लॉक रन कर चुका होता है. So this is the difference between so if I am running this, it is actually returning 48 because it will double 24. So this is the difference between while loop and repeat while loop. It is actually repeat while loop will run through your first block without checking any condition. So these are the main three loop that we will be working with when we'll be developing application, or when we'll be writing code into the you know into our application or in Swift language. So now let's comment it. And okay, let's jump to if statement. So there will be, we were talking about condition when we have to write some code through condition. So, and we have already talked about if statement a lot in the last session, in operators as well. So when we write some block or codes under some conditions, we use if statement uh, to check if some condition is true or not. So generic form is, if let's say condition is true, then you perform some statement. This is the generic form of condition statement or conditional statement or if statement. So let's say if I say, let's say var number equals to, or let number equals to, let's say 4, and if I want to check if it is if it is divisible by 2 or not. So let's say number, you know remainder operator. We have already talked about remainder operator in our last session. So number remainder operator 2 equals to 0. That means it is divisible by 2. So print divisible by 2. It is same like any other language if statement or else statement. So, and we can combine it with else block as well. So print not divisible by 2. Okay. So if I print this now, let's see what happens. So divisible by 2 because the value of number is 4. Let's say if I put it 5. So what it will print not divisible by 2. Okay, because 5 is not divisible by 2. So this is how if else statement or if else control flow works in Swift. Now there is another thing, that is, let's say anything. Okay, let's say what I want to do, I want to first check if a number is divisible by 2, uh, then print divisible by 2. And if a number is not divisible by 2, then check if it is divisible by 5, then perform some operation. And if number is not divisible by 5 as well, then check if number is divisible by 7, and then perform some operation. So that is where you use else if statement. So if number is remainder operator 2 equals to 0, then divisible by 2. Now let's say if this condition does not returning, if our condition is not returning true, that means I want to check if number is divisible by 5 or not. So, and I print here divisible by 5. And then if I want to check, print else if number remainders, let's say 7, print divisible, sorry, divisible by 7. And let's say if our number is not divisible by 2, 5, or 7, so I'm running a another else situation, another else block, where I will be printing not divisible by any given number. Given number means 2, 5, or 7. So let's say number value is 5, and if I print this, it will print divisible by 5. Okay, divisible by 5. Let's say my number is, let's say 21. So it will say divisible by 7. Let's say if I put 28, 28 is actually divisible by 2 and divisible by 7 as well. But 2, condition for 2 is coming first, and it will only run, it will only, executing statement under one condition. So if it divisible by 2, or, check for 2 is coming first, so it will fall under divisible by 2. So if I print this, it will say divisible by 2. Okay. And if I say 35, 35 is also divisible by 5 and 7, but it will fall under 5 because 5, check for 5 is coming first, divisible by 5. Okay, so that is how else if works in Swift. Now let's jump to the switch statement, how switch statement works in Swift programming language. So uh, let's say I have a number. another, or we can say let's convert our same conditional statement that we have written over here, checking if it is divisible by 2, divisible by 5, divisible by 7. Let's convert the same code into the switch statement. So let's say switch. No, 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 not. Let's pick something up. Let's pick some meaningful example. Okay, let's say I have an enum. We'll be uh, we'll be learning about enum in details in our further sessions. But first, let's say enum are are types where you can define enum are a thing where you are a block, or you know is a type where you in which you can define different type of cases. Let's say uh, if I say vehicle, I create an enum vehicle. I'm creating a type vehicle where can be different cases, like a cycle can be a vehicle, right? Or a bike can be a vehicle, or let's say a car can be a vehicle, or a truck can be a vehicle, okay, or let's say three wheeler can be a vehicle. See, three wheeler. So let's say I have created a type vehicle which can be of different kinds, or which can contain different cases like cycle, bike, car, truck, three wheeler. So how switch statement works? I write switch. I want to check. Now I have a value. Let's say my vehicle. Let my vehicle equals to, it is of type vehicle that I have created over there, over here, and let's say it is of type car. Now if I run now my vehicle can be of any type, but I let's say I want to print some statement which prints something related to the type. Like I want to tell, hey, this is a cycle, hey, this is a bike, hey, this is a car. So I have to do this by knowing exactly what type of my vehicle is. So one thing is, you can simply just do my vehicle equals to dot car. So it will print this is a car. Another thing, another, then you have to check for else if my vehicle equals to bike. So print this is a bike. Okay. And then cycle, this is a cycle. Else if truck, place a truck, this is a truck. It's a three wheeler, this is a three wheeler. And then if none condition is matched, then we say print unknown vehicle. So that is how you will check through the if else, if else statement. So if I print this now, first comment it, comment this code, and if I run this now, it will say, hey, this is a car. If I change it, my vehicle value to, let's say, truck, so it will say this is a truck. But there is an there is a soft and elegant way to do it, to do this type of comparisons. And that will be a switch statement. So let's say if I convert this code, this block of code into a switch statement, it will be switch my vehicle case car case, or let's start cycle, bike, let's say car, and then let's say truck, case dot three wheeler. So what it will do, it will check my vehicle is of which type. So जो भी true value होगी, let's say if I define truck, so it will fall under current truck condition, and it is default case. Let's say if none case type matched, so it will fall under default case. So let's say I will print here, this is a cycle, and this is a bike, and this is a car, and this is a truck, and this is a three wheeler, and default unknown vehicle. So if I print this now, so it will print this is a truck because the value of my vehicle is truck. Let's say if I change it to three wheeler, so it will print this is a three wheeler. So this is more elegant, more soft, and less cost leeway to you know run some comparisons. This is how you can run some comparison on different types. If you have some if you have some definite kinds of something and you want to compare, so instead of if else, switch is a right fit. So to to write elegant code or to write a better code. So I think this is it in our control flow session. We will be continuing with some collections and optionals and some other concept of Swift from our next session. So I'm still there for few minutes. If you have some question, you have any questions, so you can ask in the comment box. Okay, I guess this is it. Thank you guys. We'll meet in the next session.